Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of SJ Talks. Today's point of contention is regarding the whole students' protest against the, rather for the postponement of NEET and JEE examinations. बेसिक सिचुएशन ये है कि सितंबर फर्स्ट वीक में जेई की एग्जामिनेशन शुरू होने वाली है और 13 सितंबर को नीट शेड्यूल्ड है. पॉइंट ये है कि there is movement going on in regards to the postponement of both of these exams for 2-3 weeks now. If I have to categorize this whole protest into two parts, simply speaking, I'll categorize it into prior the entry of Mr. Swami and post the entry of Mr. Swami. Mr. Subramaniam Swami, Dr. Subramaniam Swami, is a BJP politician who started vocally protesting for the rights of students in this protest. Now, this whole protest is basically rallying around the point that students don't want exams to be held in the first week or 13th of September. They wanted to postpone until a later phase of time when normalcy returns. Now, before Mr. Subramaniam Swami entered into this whole debate of JEE and NEET postponement, बात ये थी students wanted to postpone exams, and back then the whole postponement lied around the fact that they wanted to postpone the exam until normalcy is attained. After Mr. Subramaniam Swami entered, the motive and the agenda changed suddenly. Mr. Subramaniam Swami came in and stated that, you know what, normalcy is a far-fetched term. Postpone it until after Deepavali. The logic behind it, let's get into that. Now, the point of contention here is that neither the political community nor the student community is ready to accept the fact that coronavirus is a reality. COVID-19 is here to stay. And as Supreme Court stated in its judgment regarding when they declined the petition against the postponement, Supreme Court stated that life has to go on. Corona is here to stay. And it is true, COVID-19 is here to stay. जब स्टूडेंट्स प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे थे शुरुआत में मिस्टर सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी के आने से पहले, देयर डिमांड वाज कि वैक्सीन आने के बाद एग्जाम कराओ, कोरोना जाने के बाद एग्जाम कराओ, कोरोना के वक्त में एग्जाम मत कराओ. बट पॉइंट ये है कि वैक्सीन इज अ फ्यूचर प्रोबेबिलिटी, अ फ्यूचर पॉसिबिलिटी, नॉट अ रियलिटी. एंड कोरोना इज अ रियलिटी and it is going to stay the same way for next 1 to 2 years minimum, and point of focus being minimum. The student community is not ready to acknowledge the fact that corona is here to stay. But what Mr. Subramaniam Swami basically did was he changed the motive of the whole movement, and it went from कि coronavirus is here to stay to the baser instincts. मिस्टर सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी के साथ हुआ क्या कि मिस्टर सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी तो आए ही प्रोटेस्ट करने, साथ में मीडिया भी इन्वॉल्व हो गई, एंड बोथ ऑफ देम आर फीडिंग टू द बेसर इंस्टिंक्ट्स ऑफ द मासेस. They are not ready to hold a long-term debate based on logic that, you know what, we have to conduct the exam now or tomorrow. At both the phases, there will be coronavirus. Will always be a risk of infection. Nobody is ready to say that. BJP won't agree to it simply because they are the government. They are not ready to accept the fact कि हो सकता है 2 महीने बाद कोरोना वायरस केसेस और बढ़ जाएं instead of घटने के, because daily cases are increasing. So logically it makes sense that अभी एग्जाम करवाओ जितना जल्दी हो सके and focus on trying to control coronavirus completely. क्योंकि अगर बात के लिए रखोगे तो एग्जाम की प्रिपरेशन साथ में करती रहनी होगी और हो सकता है कि तब एग्जाम लेना और मुश्किल हो जाए. But nobody is ready to listen to that. Secondly, what media is doing is portraying inequalities as something which is very new to Indian society. What Mr. Subramaniam Swami and media are not ready to tell you, to the media, to masses, is that the inequalities in Indian society have already existed, and they are here to exist for a very long time. It's not like after 2 months world will be a better place, India will be very conducive to an examination. It won't be. It will, maybe India will be in a worse situation. Maybe the daily cases will be much higher. Maybe it will cross even 1 lakh, more than 1 lakh cases daily. But right now, we are in a phase where we can conduct examinations. What state governments here did is, just Mr. Subramaniam Swami and media went in, they started rallying around this point and they politicized the issue. They started to make it a propaganda for vote bank. Now what is happening is, जिस स्टेट में फ्लड्स की प्रॉब्लम है, instead of providing logistical support, creating more centers, opening up the transport, opening up the facilities for students to stay safe and for a conducive environment to have exams, they are imposing lockdowns just before exam dates. How is it logical that a CM of a state will say that, conditions are not good, but at the same time we are protesting with you, but at the same time if exams do happen, I'm going to impose a lockdown on your exam day? How does that make sense? It basically gives out the message that, see, I know that you can vote for me, and if I appease you right now, you will vote for me, but I will not help you. No, instead of that, they are not having a constructive environment. All they are trying to do is they are trying to defame the government. They are trying to mudslinging events. They are trying to make it political and propagandical, but they are not ready to help the students. Nobody is talking about introducing logistical support. Nobody is ready to talk about how exams will be conducted. Everyone is behind this, running behind the fact that exams should be postponed. And then comes media houses. There's this one specific media house जिसका शुरुआत से यही solution रहा इस पूरे सिनेरियो का कि you know what, let's think out of the box, let's have an unprecedented solution for an unprecedented crisis. This is not an unprecedented crisis. Unprecedented crisis is for a small period of time. This is a crisis which will stay for a long period of time. And if you say that competitive exams का admission हो जाना चाहिए on the basis of 12th board results, you are a dumb person. Because honestly, if you know how students work, you will know that those students who legitimately work for competitive exams, who take drop years, their entire focus is on competitive exams and not on board results. Board results and competitive exam strategies are very different. So that is not out of the box thinking, that is basically clipping the wings of those students who have worked hard for this exam. Now they are saying that थोड़ा और postpone करेंगे तो academic year नहीं जाएगा. Get this point. The more days you subtract from already squeezed up academic year, what you are doing is basically you are already reducing and increasing the pressure on students when the academic year starts, but you are leaving no space for contingencies. कोरोना वायरस इज अ रियलिटी. हो सकता है फ्यूचर में कि एकेडमिक ईयर शुरू होने के बाद लैप्सेस हो सकते हैं, हो सकता है देयर इज अ स्पोरेडिक आउटब्रेक, हो सकता है देयर इज अ मेजर आउटब्रेक, हो सकता है एक महीना के लिए ब्रेक लेना पड़े. बट इफ यू डोंट लीव एनी ऑप्शन एज सच टू द फ्रेशर्स, व्हाट विल हैपन इज कि already you're squeezing it, already there's immense pressure on JEE NEET CLAT aspirants, and then when they get into colleges later on, let's say in February to April का वो जो phase होगा उसमें अगर कुछ हो जाता है ऊपर नीचे तो you won't have contingency. So effectively, if something goes wrong at any stage of this already crucial phase, you will have to declare zero year, which is not a great idea. Because again, CLAT के एग्जाम्पल ले लेते हैं. लॉ के एग्जाम्स में बहुत सारे प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज ने तो अपना सेशन शुरू कर दिया. हाउ विल यू डिक्लेयर अ जीरो ईयर? प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज विल गो अहेड with their admission processes, with their process of counseling. Many of them have. WBJE has conducted. COMEDK has been wrapped up. So how can you declare an academic zero year? That is not a possibility anymore. You cannot have professional courses going at different speeds in the same country. With this being said, the final conclusion is the student community, the media, and the politicians need to realize that the ground reality is exam needs to happen. Exam should happen. An exam should be conducted right now for CLAT, for NEET, for JEE, for any other exam that is. What their responsibility is to remove hindrances, to create logistical pathways, to give support to the students instead of imposing lockdowns and not opening up public transports. Because if you can open up gyms, if you can open up public transport, if you are planning on opening up metros, you need to do it faster so that you can help these students instead of creating this whole political narrative that students and government are in a fight. No, they are not. Government is trying to do something for the students which has to be done now or tomorrow. What government is probably at fault is that they had 6 to 7 months to plan this out. They didn't. They should have, instead of wasting time, contacted state authorities and made sure that इस phase पे better preparation होती. But अगर better preparation नहीं है तो उसको अभी करने की जरूरत थी, ना कि उस पे politics खेलेगी. With this being said, this is my opinion entirely, but I so hope that you listen to this entirely and you realize the grave concerns of this whole scenario. Thank you.